In order to make your own African print purse or ankara purse, you'll need a few items. Number one, you'll need a pair of scissors. You'll need a plastic wallet, and I've just chosen this one. Now normally what you might do, or what you can do, is use a piece of plastic and create this shape yourself, but it's probably easier if you do it this way if you're not familiar with sewing. Some buttons just for adding accessories. Some fabric, and I've chosen this fabric. This is just a cut off from a previous project. And of course your sewing machine. So let's get started. Right, so what we're going to do is remove the plastic closure that is on these plastic wallets. So we're just going to remove it using a knife or something that you can use to pry underneath. Usually please use a bread knife, nothing too sharp, just to get underneath. And there goes flying the closure. Okay, so we've gotten rid of that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut around this fabric. So we're going to bring up one end of the fabric up over one side of the plastic wallet, like so. And we're just going to tuck that in for the meantime. And then we're going to take a pair of scissors and we're going to cut around the plastic wallet. Now we're going to just have a feel and give ourselves about an inch on either side of the edge of the plastic wallet, and you'll see why in a moment. As we cut around, we're just giving ourselves a little bit of breathing room, so we're not cutting exactly to the shape of the fabric, just giving ourselves about an inch. Actually that's probably like half an inch, I would say, all around. Now this cutting is not the neatest, but that doesn't matter because we're going to sew and neaten up the edges. There, now we can get rid of the rest of the fabric. So we can see already that our purse is taking shape quite nicely. See? Almost there. Quite an easy project to undertake. And then what we're now going to do is we're going to sew the edges of this purse onto the plastic wallet. So we fold it over like so. So what we now want to do is to turn our fabric inside out. So that's what I've done here. Okay? So, and make sure that your plastic wallet is within the edges of the fabric. Okay. Now you're going to remove your plastic wallet, keeping your fabric in place as it was, and it's probably a good idea just to pin it so that the fabric doesn't move as you're sewing. Now on the sewing machine you're going to need a zigzag stitch, which is used to finish off edges. And what would be a good idea is if you just take a piece of fabric and then just sew your zigzag, just to make sure that you've got the right zigzag, and you probably need a zigzag that's quite tight. So depending on what position dial you have, it should tell you just how wide the zigzags are. Okay? So I've already done that here, so I'm just going to remove this and just cut the fabric off, like so. And you can see here that I've got quite a tight zigzag here, and I'm using black fabric because it blends in with this material here. So now what we're going to do is just sew along the edges. Straight zigzag stitch, being careful not to stray too far from the edge. Now that we've finished sewing, we're going to turn this inside out. Now we're going to pop our plastic wallet in. Hopefully it should still fit. There, perfect. So what we're now going to do, we're going to sew around the top part of the clutch, as you can see here. Okay. So there's your purse or your clutch, almost there. Okay, and then now we're just going to put a button here to be your clasp or to close the purse. Now I had some buttons before, and I'm just going to look through the buttons and see which one would best work with this purse. Now we can either go for a black one or we can go for yellow. Which do you think works best? I think we'll go for black. Black probably looks better with this. So you're going to then sew on your button. Now you can either do this manually or you can choose to do it using the sewing machine. It's always a good idea before you try and sew your button to sew the button onto a scrap piece of paper, scrap piece of fabric, as I've done here, before you actually sew onto your fabric. That way you don't make any mistakes. So I've done that just to be sure, and now I'm just going to cut the fabric, the scrap fabric, away from the button. Apologies, I thought I was filming as I cut the hole for where the button is going to go. Obviously I wasn't filming, so now, and it's too late to go back to show you, what I'm now going to do is just to finish off and get rid of any stray pieces of thread, just to neaten it up. And one thing I meant to show you was the kind of stitch that I used, and I used a zigzag stitch because it matched with the sort of zigzag of the fabric. So it's a good idea to think about these, the stitch that you're going to use, particularly if the fabric itself is giving you a sort of direction as to what type of stitch to use. So I'm almost there with clipping off any stray threads. So here's the finished product. So a handmade, homemade ankara or African batik print clutch that you can wear with a pair of jeans, or like, you know, carry with a pair of jeans, some heels, or just you know, out to a party, match it with an outfit. Either way, it's an easy peasy way of making your own clutch without the expense. So if you have any questions, then please come back to me, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.